Hello, everyone. Welcome to Benefits 2026, What You Need to Know, an overview of the 2026 enrollment insurance changes and offerings. This presentation is brought to you by UW-Madison's Office of Human Resources, and my name is Alicia West. I'll be your presenter today.
For this session, we'll show you how to review your current enrollments in Workday, taking a close look at what you currently have now. We'll talk about how those plans may change for 2026 and really focus on benefits that might end if you choose not to re-enroll. We'll provide resources and discuss what benefits you're eligible to add or change so that you can decide what benefits you'd like active come January 1. Lastly, we'll go over with you how to enroll, making sure you can log in and use the all-new My Insurance Benefits site to make your elections by the deadline of Friday, October 31st at 4:30 p.m. Here's a preliminary list of resources and contact information we think will be beneficial to you during this process. Feel free to visit our website or the Employee Trust Fund website directly to find more details regarding your 2026 benefit offerings, quick guides, and some additional publications. Otherwise, if you feel you need to speak directly with a member of our team, we've listed our general email to contact a specialist. Lastly, with our Employee Assistance Office, this is a great resource offering financial planning support via Life Matters. They also offer support to employees who may be experiencing difficulty in navigating change. So starting here with our review section, we'll specifically want to call out how you, the employee, can find your current enrollments and gain access if you need to make any changes. Again, we also want to make sure you thoroughly understand what happens if you choose not to take action or re-enroll. Our first step is to remind you that all of your benefits can be reviewed in Workday. You'll simply need to follow this path here to your benefit elections in the Benefits and Pay Hub. Here's a screenshot so that again, you're able to navigate and view the tiles as they are in the system. You want to make sure that once you navigate to your Benefits and Pay Hub using the Personal tab you see on the far left, you can navigate and select the Benefits tab. It is here that you'll actually see your current enrollments. And just a note, you will be able to see your enrollment in income continuation insurance and or state group life if applicable, but these benefits are not eligible for open enrollment. So please don't be alarmed that once you go to make your elections in the system, these benefits will not be listed for you to make changes. Now let's move into some details if you're already enrolled. Benefits that will continue automatically if you're currently enrolled include most health plans and networks, for example, Dean, Quartz UW Health, or GHC. The same goes for most supplemental insurances like supplemental dental and vision. Those will automatically continue. And then lastly, coverage levels will continue. So whether you have single or family coverage, employees typically don't need to take any action if they don't wish to change. Again, we do want to note here, state group life and income continuation insurance are not eligible for changes during open enrollment, especially if you are not currently enrolled. Open enrollment does not provide an opportunity for new enrollment. Now moving on to step 2 in our review process, we'll dive into where you can find more information about open enrollment and any upcoming changes. We mentioned briefly at the start that ETF does provide some valuable resources on their website. So this video here and step-by-step guide provides a great opportunity, especially for employees who are newly enrolling, to learn how to choose their health plan as well as what factors they should consider when deciding. ETF also provides some written publications that we often refer to our employees: the Insurance Benefits Decision Guide, and the Enrollment Checklist. These resources are available online via the ETF website. Now we move on to what's changing and what is not. As most of you know, the way you make and submit your elections this year has changed. So we specifically want to point out here that all elections and changes will need to be made through ETF's My Insurance Benefits. A special call out to those employees who are currently enrolled in a family plan for the accident plan. Those individuals will need to re-add their dependents for 2026. Otherwise, coverage will default to single. We'll see an increase in premiums for health, dental, all uniform, preventative, and select plus plans, and also with the accident insurance. The deductible for the high deductible health plan and HSA contribution and limits will increase. Vision premiums will decrease as we switch to a new vendor with MetLife. The new pre-tax spending account administrator will now be task, and there will also be an increase for the WRS contribution. Those things that are not changing include, again, most health plan network names, again, like Dean or Quartz UW Health. Plan designs or coverage, for example, how the insurance works. And there will be no increase for our Delta Dental Supplemental Select Plan. Now, as we move forward with what is changing with the health insurance, we do realize that we use a lot of acronyms throughout the remainder of the presentation. So up front, we've provided a quick guide here for your reference. Some key acronyms we use are SGH, State Group Health, HDHP, High Deductible Health Plan, non-HDHP, not the High Deductible Health Plan, and HSA, Health Savings Account. We can expect to see some changes in coverage for health insurance. New as of January 1, 2026, the Diabetes Pilot Program for high deductible health plan members will become a standard benefit versus previously in testing. Continuous glucose monitors, or CGMs, will now be covered solely under pharmacy versus previously under health. Coverage is expanding eligible conditions for medically necessary biofeedback treatment. And also, a change of plan will now be a qualifying life event upon enrollment in Medicare. A change of coverage and/or change of plan will also be a qualifying life event following the death of a spouse or dependent. For more detailed information, we do recommend you review the benefits and pharmacy certificates of coverage. Next, let's talk about some health plan name changes. The Access Plan by Dean will move forward solely as the Access Plan. Common Ground Healthcare Cooperative will move forward as CareSource. The Dean Health Plan will actually extend its name as Dean Health Plan by Medica, and Dean Health Plan Previa 360 East and West will also undergo some name changes, as Previa 360 West will now combine with the Mayo Clinic Health System moving forward as Medica West and Mayo Clinic Health System. Again, these are name changes only and no employee action is required. We'll see some increases in the 2026 health premiums. Overall, the average increase is 8%. This includes medical, pharmacy, and dental, as well as the stabilization charge and admin cost. Here we also want to remind you on this slide that although the premiums are listed at a monthly cost, premiums are split between the first two paychecks of each month. So in order to estimate your actual cost per paycheck, you want to divide the numbers by 2. An additional increase we'll see is that of the annual deductible for the high deductible health plan. Reason being, these deductibles do need to meet the IRS definition to actually allow a high deductible plan offering. So we'll be seeing a $50 increase for the individual deductible and a $100 increase for the family deductible. With said, if you are choosing to enroll in the high deductible health plan for 2026, please note that you are required to enroll in a state-sponsored HSA. Also, you must re-enroll every year to keep your account open and available for use. So even if you're choosing not to contribute to these accounts, it does need to remain open while enrolled in the high deductible health plan as you'll want to receive the employer contribution. Speaking of, this year, we will see an increase for the employer contribution of $852 to a single HSA and $1,704 to a family HSA. Now that amount is prorated if you are not enrolled for all 12 months of the year. So here we can take a look to compare what the employer contribution looks like in real time. Currently for 2025, the employer contribution is $828 to a single HSA and $1,650 to a family. So again, you can see that with the increase of $50 to the individual HSA, the 2026 employer contribution is $852, and with the increase of $100, the new employer contribution to a family HSA is $1,704. Also taking a look at the increase for the annual contribution limits as well. For 2026, the high deductible annual contribution limit for a single or individual high deductible health plan is $4,400, and for a family high deductible health plan, it is $8,750. We'll also note here that there is a $1,000 annual catch-up contribution allowed if an employee is over the age of 55. Now let's introduce TASK as the new vendor for our pre-tax accounts in 2026. TASK stands for Total Administrative Service Corporation. So yes, when you're an active employee and have questions about paycheck deductions or even eligibility for programs like the flexible spending account, limited purpose FSA, transit account, or even the HSA, you want to still contact your local HR or office directly with those questions. However, for more program specific questions, i.e., debit cards or account information, app issues, you will now reach out to TASK directly as you would Optum in current state. Additional details regarding the transition from Optum to Task is still forthcoming. However, we do know that the transition for those who currently have an HSA, that transition will take place early in 2026, as direction should be provided from Task before the end of 2025. But for now, those of you who are currently enrolled in an HSA via Optum should not request to close and or roll over the account funds prior to December 29th so that all contributions for the 2025 plan year can be deposited into your current account. Now, if you choose to take action following that date of 12/29, you should do so prior to April 2026 as no monthly administrative fee will be deducted from Optum. To complete that transition, you will work directly with tasks to move the funds. As far as we know, additional communications will be provided from tasks to enrolled employees providing guidance at that time. Again, details are forthcoming and we will update information as we receive it. Now, for our flexible spending accounts, like with the Health Savings Account or HSA, we will also see some higher contribution limits. The 2026 maximum contribution for the Healthcare FSA and the Limited Purpose FSA will be $3,300. For the Dependent Daycare FSA, the contribution maximum will be $7,500. We'll also see an increased rollover amount for both Healthcare FSA and Limited Purpose FSA to $660. As a reminder, there will be no rollover amount for dependent daycare. All funds contributed will need to be used by the end of the plan year of December 31st of 2026. Annual maximums for our transit accounts will also increase. So this is great news for those employees who may be traveling via mass transit, subway, or train. Now, we do know that most of you already have pre-tax deductions set up with UW Transportation Services, but for those of you who have a flexible parking pass and paying post-tax dollars, this may be an option for you as well. Now on to dental changes. Premiums will increase for the preventative and the supplemental select plan for the dental cost. As a reminder, preventative coverage is to be selected by employees who are not enrolling in the state group health plan. Now, if you are enrolling and or are enrolled in the state group health and electing family coverage, there's also a small increase of $1 per month. So monthly cost for that uniform coverage will then go from $10 per month to $11. MetLife will be the new vendor for the vision plan in 2026. If you're already enrolled, no action is required other than to review our new network of providers to ensure that your current provider is still in network. Again, if you're already enrolled in the supplemental vision plan, no action is required. All current members will automatically be enrolled with our new vendor for 2026. However, please do note, no insurance cards will be issued for this benefit. So if providers do need to verify your vision coverage, they should contact MetLife directly. And again, we do encourage employees to review the new, more popular providers added to the network, including Davis Stewart Dean, Costco, and Warby Parker. Here's a look at the premiums. For those enrolled, vision premiums will decrease in 2026. On the other hand, there will be a slight increase for the accident plan next year. So we do want to mention that those of you who are currently enrolled in one of the following levels of coverage for the accident plan, whether individual and spouse, individual and children, or family coverage, you will need to re-enroll your spouse and or dependents for the 2026 plan year. If not re-enrolled, you will be enrolled in single or individual coverage, and those dependents previously covered will lose coverage. Now looking at the Wisconsin Retirement System, or WRS, there will be a slight increase in the WRS contribution for both the employee and employer contribution, going from the current 6.95% to 7.2%. Overall, we're seeing a 0.25% increase. Please note that the contribution to the WRS is mandatory and no action is required. This increase will occur automatically. Income continuation insurance. Although not eligible for changes or enrollment, we do want to discuss premiums for the income continuation insurance or ICI. There will actually be a 10% decrease in ICI premium rates in 2026. This change is typically reflected on the first paycheck issued in February. We also want to call out specifically that this decrease may not appear the same for everybody. For example, some employees may see an actual increase in their premiums if their WRS income for 2025 is higher than that in previous years. Or, for example, if you are a university staff employee who maybe moves to a lower premium category, you may also see an increase. Additionally, university staff moving to a higher premium category based on sick leave totals may see a higher decrease. Now, speaking of sick leave, we do want to remind you that if you have a request to change or swap the type of leave you've used, i.e., swapping sick for vacation, those requests will need to be received by the end of the second pay period following your absence or the end of the fiscal year in which the absence occurred, whichever comes first. For State Group Life, we'll also see a slight increase of 5% in premiums. Again, as with ICI, that change might not necessarily look the same for everybody. For example, again, an increase in WRS income compared to previous years would cause more of an increase than 5%. Another example would be if an employee were to cross an age bracket, that too would cause more of an increase. Spouse and dependent coverage will stay the same, so employees will see no change. Also, like income continuation insurance, these changes will occur only for those who are currently enrolled. Enrollment or changes to State Group Life are not eligible during the open enrollment period. So now we've reviewed and highlighted all of the changes for 2026. Now let's head back to our steps here for your review process. The last step we want to walk through as you prepare to make your elections or enroll, you want to be prepared to give documentation if adding dependents or changing any personal information. With said, please be prepared to provide the following personal information regarding your spouse and or dependent. Full legal name, sex, relationship, date of birth, and social security number. Now, if your dependent does not have a social security number, you want to complete this enclosed affidavit to upload. Once received, our specialists will be able to assign what we call the UW reporting ID in lieu of a social security number for your dependent to enroll. Additionally, if adding a dependent assigns personal identifying information, you will need to upload supporting documentation. For example, if adding a spouse, you need to upload a marriage certificate. If adding a dependent, you'll need to upload a birth certificate or any associated adoption paperwork. Now let's get ready to decide. Again, you've learned about the upcoming changes for 2026. So here we'll talk about what's next. We do want to remind you again of those plans that do require action in order to have coverage continue in 2026. Specifically, employees must re-enroll dependents to the accident plan during open enrollment to keep coverage for family level coverage. For the high deductible health plan and health savings account, if enrolled in the high deductible health plan, you must re-elect the HSA for 2026, even if you choose not to contribute your own money. For the health opt-out incentive, if enrolled, you must re-elect the opt-out to continue receiving your monthly deposits. For the flexible spending accounts, whether that's a health FSA, limited purpose FSA, dependent care FSA, if enrolled and you wish to contribute additional funds for 2026, you'll need to re-enroll. Please keep in mind this does include that for all balances less than $50 remaining in account and in your 2025 account, you will need to re-enroll to have those funds roll over to 2026. Otherwise, those funds will be forfeited. Here we put together a nice chart so that you can determine what actions you need to take based on your current elections. For example, you can find each plan highlighted in the far left column and then, using all of those to the right, determine if you can add or remove dependents, enroll, and or cancel coverage. You'll also find some additional notes like a gentle reminder that preventative dental coverage is only for those who are not enrolled in health insurance, as well as, again, elections for your current FSA account will end December 31st if you choose not to re enroll for 2026. We also call out our life and ICI insurance policies. Again, these are not eligible for open enrollment, but you do have the option to enroll via evidence of insurability or EOI. Our EOI process information can be found on our OHR website. But one important thing to note here is if you are choosing to enroll via evidence of insurability, enrollment is not guaranteed and you can be denied. Now let's spend some time discussing information regarding your new enrollment system, My Insurance Benefits for Members hosted by Employee Trust Funds, or ETF. We'll provide an overview of what you can expect to see and how to save and confirm your elections and/or changes in the system. Everyone should set up a My Insurance Benefits account, whether making changes or not. It is really important to have access as you may not want to or need to act now, but in future you may need proof of enrollment or documentation. You may need to review or make changes due to a life event, or most importantly, this system does now house your annual WRS statement issued in the first quarter of the year. Again, this system is new, so we'll start here by providing some system terminology. ETF has primarily set up, and we too will reference the system using two key terms, My Benefits versus My Insurance Benefits. Now, My Benefits is the actual website name or platform that houses the link to My Insurance Benefits. And as I previously mentioned, aside the link to My Insurance Benefits, upon logging in onto My Benefits, you can now find a link to access your WRS statement and eventually information regarding your pension or annuity when that time arrives. Now, that last tidbit there has not yet been developed, but we do believe that is a goal for future state. Now, My Insurance Benefits is actually where you can view, make, or change your actual elections, not only now for open enrollment, but also this will be your access point if you're a new hire, if you undergo a qualifying life event, and/or an employment change. You simply just need to log in and navigate the tiles to complete your particular task when appropriate. Now, an important disclaimer for any employees that plan to retire between now and December 31st. You will need to complete your open enrollment elections directly with employee trust funds. So again, if that applies to you, you will call ETF and request applications to complete, and then you can return those applications directly via fax or mail. Retirees can also use ETF's uploader via box and submit electronically. Once all applications are processed, those elections would still be effective January 1. Now let's specifically talk about the items you'll need readily available to set up your My Wisconsin ID login, as this step is the very first step to access My Benefits. A My Wisconsin ID is required to gain access to any system hosted by a state agency. So it said you'll need on hand a smartphone, your full legal name as it's listed in Workday, a personal email address, whether that's through Yahoo or iCloud or Gmail, a password, and it must include a combination of letters and numbers or symbols, and other personal information like your social security number, your date of birth, and your address. If you do not have a social security number, you will need to contact your local HR to obtain your UW reporting ID. To assist you with this process, UW System has created a KB or knowledge base on how to set up your My Wisconsin ID. An important call out in the process is that you will need to click on the sign up link located just at the bottom to create your ID and not immediately enter an email address as requested on the landing page. Also, another thing to note is that once you continue through the steps in the KB and you enter your personal information to set up the account, your full name, your address, your social security number, it is possible that you may receive this notification upon finalizing if additional information is required. At this point, we will direct you to email ETF directly as instructed on the screen. In your email, please provide the following specifically: your name, your email address, your employer, which is UW-Madison, and the following statement. Please verify my benefits account. Now, it can take up to 2 hours for ETF to complete, but once done, you will then gain access to your My Benefits account. If additional troubleshooting is needed, please refer to this My Benefits FAQ for additional assistance. Once you have your credentials, that personal email and password, and your account is verified, there are a few additional ways you can navigate back to your My Insurance Benefits portal to log in, aside directly via My Benefits. The first is if you log into your MyUW account and locate the My Insurance Benefits tile. There you can click Launch Full App. Next, you can access My Insurance Benefits directly via the link highlighted here. Just click the live link in the presentation or type this address in your computer browser or phone. This link is also housed in your Pay and Benefits Hub in Workday under Suggested Links. Now, once you finally log in, this is most likely the screen you'll see, especially if this is your first time logging in during open enrollment. This here is a pop-up screen with a few details regarding any to-do items, as well as an indication of how many days you have to make your elections based on your current event. But you should review and then click the Close button. Next, you'll see the Get Started button, and that will then navigate you to your open enrollment opportunity. Here you'll view your current enrollments. Ultimately, this screen should match your enrollments found on the benefits screen in Workday. And once you've submitted all of your elections and/or changes, you'll then have the opportunity to print your benefits. Please note that there will no longer be an email sent verifying your elections. For example, the confirmation statement that we received in past. Again, you should simply review or print your employee benefit summary report using the highlighted button. Another key thing to note is that your benefit summary report will display both your current and future elections to begin January 1. Now taking a quick look at some additional tabs you'll want to take notice of in the system. The counter here will again notify you of the days remaining to make elections. You can access this portal to make changes at any time throughout the open enrollment period. Once the days remaining reaches 0 or ends, then the opportunity to make changes or new enrollments will end as well. With said, the deadline to complete your open enrollment elections is by 4:30 p.m. on Friday, October 31st. So let's review. To make your elections, again, you'll need to select the Get Started button to begin. Please be mindful of any to-do items listed here, as this prompt indicates any outstanding tasks, like for example, submitting documentation for dependents or requesting to upload documentation for those that may not have a social security number. All of those items will be listed here. Again, you can make elections and/or changes online until 4:30 p.m. on October 31st. That is the very last day of open enrollment. All enrollments, changes, and most cancellations made during this period will be effective January 1. We do say most for cancellations as a reminder that you can cancel life insurance, accidental death and dismemberment, and ICI disability insurance at any time throughout the year. Cancellations for those particular benefits will become effective the first of the month following submission of your cancellation versus January 1. Lastly, once all elections are submitted, we do again encourage you to review the Employee Benefit Summary Report. This summary is generated almost instantaneously following your submission. So again, you can simply select Print Your Benefits to view immediately. And here's a visual as to what you see. Your benefit summary report will be several pages where you can see both your current elections and open enrollment elections. But please note, following January 1, you will only see current elections, as the open enrollment elections will then have become effective. This now concludes our presentation. If you have additional questions, please feel free to email us at benefits@ohr.wisc.edu at any time. Also, if you're looking for more information regarding designs and offerings, Please feel free to visit our Benefits 101 presentation found via the highlighted link. Thank you, and remember, the deadline to make your elections for the 2026 open enrollment period is Friday, October 31st at 4:30 p.m.